6 out of 7 days of the week. But the federal government stayed its hand, deciding to instead enter into a non-prosecution agreement, with the idea being that the state prosecution was adequate and no federal prosecution was necessary. Even though Epstein is a registered sex offender, many observers felt his legal team had achieved a huge victory, especially because Epstein's case never even went to trial. For the most part, the Epstein case appeared to be a done deal. But last year, the Miami Herald started investigating the Epstein case and interviewing victims, publishing stories of their accounts.
We were underage. We were little girls.
He wanted new, fresh, young faces every single day.
He's probably the most prolific pedophile. I mean, to have abused this many young girls for this many years and have gotten away with it.
The Herald's reporting re-energized public interest in the case, including the interest of prosecutors in New York. Adding broader political intrigue to this case, Alex Acosta, who is now President Trump's Secretary of Labor, was then the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida who approved this original plea agreement.
Mr. President, do you have any concerns about the Labor Secretary's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case?
I really don't know too much about it. I know he's done a great job as Labor Secretary, and that seems like a long time ago.
Epstein certainly ran in influential circles. Even then private citizen Donald Trump praised Epstein back in the day. So what's next? Epstein is facing very serious federal charges. 2 counts with a mandatory minimum of 10 years on each count. This is the kind of thing that makes associates of Epstein very nervous, because if the government is interested, they may approach Epstein for a cooperation agreement. Given that Epstein's friends were almost exclusively the rich and influential, the folks that he could talk to the government about might make him an appealing cooperating witness. Generally speaking, federal trials move relatively quickly, but this case may be over even sooner if Epstein tries to secure a cooperation agreement with the prosecutors. The real question is, who can Epstein give up to get that prosecution agreement? This new federal case may bring closure to some of Epstein's victims who complain that they weren't even told about this non-prosecution agreement in 2007.
She was the air hostess on board the notorious Lolita Express, the billionaire's private jet at the center of a sex scandal making lurid headlines across the world. Sleazy Wall Street tycoon Jeffrey Epstein used the Lolita Express to ferry a bevy of beautiful young women. Among the passengers, former President Bill Clinton and Britain's Prince Andrew.
On almost every trip that I did go on, there were young girls around.
In this Inside Edition exclusive, Shantae Davies takes us inside the secret world of the Lolita Express, named for the controversial book and movie about a professor's infatuation with an underage girl. Shantae made several trips on Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Lolita Express. She says she was one of several young, attractive women hired to travel around the world, giving massages or yoga instruction to Epstein and his rich and powerful friends. But says she never had sex with Epstein. Did you ever think that maybe more was going on than simple massages?
Looking back, of course.
Was there a bed on the airplane?
Actually, yes, there was, yeah.
On one memorable flight on board a plane like this provided by Air Hollywood, she says she made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for passengers, including Oscar winner Kevin Spacey, actor Chris Tucker, and even Bill Clinton. They were all flying to Africa on a humanitarian mission, and Jeffrey Epstein had given them the use of his jet.
So you never gave President Clinton a massage?
No, I didn't.
Shantae says when the plane landed in Africa, Clinton took her shopping, but she says nothing improper occurred.
They had shut down a jewelry store for us, and I helped him pick out a bracelet for Chelsea.
It was a jet-set lifestyle for sure, but Shantae says she felt uncomfortable about being part of Epstein's collection of young women. You saw young women around Jeffrey Epstein, and they didn't seem to have regular jobs, and you started wondering, why are they here?
Yes, yes.
When you look back, are there red flags that you should have seen at the time?
Definitely, yeah. Why fly anyone out to be a masseuse when there's plenty of masseuses in the same city that you're in?
Epstein served 13 months in prison for soliciting an underage girl for prostitution. Now just looking at the front page headlines the scandal has generated brings Shantae to tears.
To have to deal with that and then on top of it defend my character, I'll have children one day, you know, and they'll read this.
She wonders whether she'll ever be able to live down her time on the Lolita Express.
More than anything, I just felt stupid. Yeah, I felt duped.
I was young, I was scared, I knew these people were powerful. I didn't know what would happen if I said no. I didn't know what would happen if I reported them. That 16-year-old girl just let it happen. And that was how I got into the abuse with Jeffrey and Ghislaine.
Virginia Roberts was working in the spa at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach when British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell introduced her to multimillionaire Jeffrey Epstein.
The training started immediately. I mean, it was everything down to how to give a blowjob, how to be quiet, be subservient, give Jeffrey what he wants. A lot of this training came from Ghislaine herself. And being a woman, it kind of surprises you that a woman could actually let stuff like that happen, but not only let it happen, but to groom you into doing it. And then there's Jeffrey who's telling you, I want it this way, no, go slower, and don't do that, and do this. You're just thrown into a world that you don't understand, and you don't know how to, you're screaming on the inside and you don't know how to let it come out. And you just become this numb figure who refuses to feel and refuses to speak and refuses, all you do is obey. That's it. And eventually it led to, well, now we're gonna experiment and we're gonna try you with another guy and see how you go. So they sent me to an island with a professor, and I basically had to do what I did for Jeffrey for him. So it's very private. It's the perfect world for a billionaire getting away with what he was doing. He could hold big parties there and have huge orgies there, and nobody would have any idea what was going on because it was so quiet and so protected. And it started with one, and then it trickled into two, and then so on and so forth. And you know, before you know it, I'm being lent out to politicians and to academics and to people that royalty.
Roberts claimed in an affidavit the two of the men that Epstein lent her out to were attorney Alan Dershowitz and Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Dershowitz and Prince Andrew have both denied any involvement with Roberts. A judge later struck Roberts' affidavit from the court record, but the ruling did not address the veracity of her allegations. Dershowitz said he was nonetheless vindicated. Logs from Epstein's private jet, nicknamed the Lolita Express, show a host of high-powered politicians, academics, and celebrities.
It's called Lolita Express for a reason. That was a vessel for him to be able to abuse girls and get away with it without anybody being alarmed or any alarm bells going off. It was all the same no matter where you went. All Jeffrey cared about was, go find me more girls. To me, still to this day, it is my biggest shame that I carry around that I will never get rid of. And I'm really, really sad that I brought other girls my age and even younger into a world that they should have never been introduced to.
At age 19, Roberts said that she was sent to Thailand to take a massage course and to pick up a girl for Epstein. Instead, she fell in love and moved to Australia, where she and her husband live with their 3 children.
I escaped. I called Jeffrey to let him know that I was not coming back and I was not bringing the little Thai girl back, and he said, you know what, have a nice life, and hung up the phone. And that was it. And I thought, I'm off the hook, I'm off the chain, I can go, I can live free. 2007, I was pregnant with my middle son, and I get a phone call from Ghislaine one day in Australia. I'm in Australia. I was like, how the hell did she just find me? Like, I've been out of their life for so long, what's going on? She's like, have you talked to anybody? Have you told anybody what's happened? Like, you know, have you reported us or anything? And I said, no. I haven't spoken to anybody. Okay, good, you stay like that, you stay quiet. The next day, Jeffrey calls me with his lawyer on the phone, and he asks me the same questions. Have you talked to anybody? Are you gonna report me? Are you gonna talk to anybody? And I'm like, where is this all coming from? Like, what is going on? The next day, I get another phone call. And this time, it's from an FBI agent. Like, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah from the FBI. Have you given Jeffrey Epstein a blowjob? Did you have a shower with Jeffrey Epstein? did you ever bring any girls over for Jeffrey Epstein? I'm like, I don't even know who you are. I mean, unless you can come over here and show me some official documentation that says that you're with the FBI, I am not saying a word to you. And about 6 months later, I get a knock at the door, and it's the Australian Federal Police. It was like a 12-page document about Jeffrey Epstein and what he had done and how, you know, I was a victim and they've identified me as one. It takes a long time to start the healing process. I mean, I will never heal. There are pieces from me that can never be put back together. It takes so long to get to a point where you're able just to speak about it. I mean, it took me having a daughter and looking at this beautiful, young, innocent baby to say, I want to speak out about it now. You know, if we can make that point across, that doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter how powerful you are, there are girls out there that will speak up, and I don't care if it's 10 years later or 15 years later, whenever you're ready to do it, you do it, you know, and you protect the ones that are younger than us. You protect the ones that we didn't protect before. These guys will get it in the end, because us girls are not going to sit here and just let this keep happening.
Jeffrey Epstein leaving his New York townhouse with a young woman. An hour later, Prince Andrew appears at the door with another young woman, opening it just slightly to wave her off. It's the emergence of this footage which sparked an unusually swift response from Buckingham Palace. The pictures are from 2010, more than a decade after Epstein and Prince Andrew met, and just 2 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to 1 count of solicitation of prostitution and 1 count of solicitation of prostitution of a minor. This avoided any federal charges which could have seen him face life in prison. Instead, he controversially received an 18-month sentence. The seriousness of the charges and the high-profile nature of the case left his reputation destroyed, and many of his high-profile friends, including Donald Trump, shunned him, but not Prince Andrew. Epstein was put on the sex offenders register in Florida and New York after his conviction. However, Prince Andrew persisted in his friendship with him. And there's also the now famous picture of the prince with his arm around Virginia Roberts in 2001, who claimed in US court documents that Prince Andrew had sex with her at the age of 17, something always emphatically denied by the palace, and the allegation was rejected by the US courts. The relationship of the sex offender and the prince has drawn worldwide attention,